Hello, my dear gardeners. The end of August, and what do we do with our roses, especially climbing roses? We make sure that those long, beautiful, new, fresh stems are well secure before winter. So today we are going to talk about why do we have to make sure that we secure those stems before winter. And there is one tip which I never learned through reading any of the rose care books. It's just from my experience, from growing roses for so many years. So we are talking about rose care at the end of summer. Let's go to the side of my garden where I have Adelaide-Diolene, a climbing rose growing. And chances are that a lot of climbers now at the end of August looks like my dear Adelaide-Diolenes. That rose was busy creating beautiful, strong stems, long reaching, and now my rose looks like a little bit of a mess. So follow me and let's look at that rose. My Adelaide-Diolene's rose is a young rose. It's probably 2-3 years old, but already it shows that it can be a very vigorous climber, and I want that to be that way. So look at all these beautiful stems it created this year. And usually I like to keep the stems in vertical position as long as I can, because when I'm too fast to train rose into the horizontal position, usually as the tip stops developing. So that's another little tip for the beginner rosarian. And when we all know, if we bend our rose cane, our climbing rose cane into horizontal position, next year, out of all up-facing leaves, there would be a new stem growing, and it is called lateral stem. So this rose, if I'm not going to train it through the winter, it will have so much damage that a lot of canes wouldn't just be very thick, and diseases will join in, and rose will suffer. The health of the rose will suffer. So Adelaide-Diolenes clearly is overdue for a beautiful brand new rose support. Hopefully I will have more time to do it this year. Now, at the back we have Generous Gardener, and I'm afraid this year I made a mistake with that rose. Let's go and look at it. Generous Gardener has a beautiful tendency to create super thick and healthy stems. And I made a mistake with that rose because last week we traveled to Cape May and we had the hurricane, right? So my Generous Gardener created this very juicy, thick stem, and I looked at it and I said, it's nice and strong. It will withstand the wind all right, plus it's not reaching yet the level of support, so I will just leave it there. What a mistake. Let's go and see. When we have very good succulent growth on the rose, that new growth, the most vulnerable point is where the new growth touches the old stem. And look at my Generous Gardener. This beautiful young stem, the prized possession of any rosarian. Look, it's all wasted. You see? Look at this. This is such a beautiful young stem my Generous Gardener created. But because I did not secure the growth, this is the most vulnerable point. The wind will twist the stem, and that's exactly what happened. It was yanked out, and my stem, I found it on the ground after all the wind we had, and I was not here. But my Generous Gardener, look at this little lovely thing here. My Generous Gardener didn't wait long. It is starting to produce a new growth, which I'm very happy. And I'm not going to repeat my mistake again. I'm going to secure that stem right away before it had a chance to succumb to heavy winds. But let's look at this beautiful rose. Generous Gardener, look at those stems. You see this big one? It was growing all the way to our spruce tree, and I kind of let it go because I want the length, right? And then the stem fell. So if I wouldn't train that stem before winter, you know what will happen in spring? If I would wait all the way to spring to put this stem into the horizontal position, from experience, I learned that it takes those hormones some time to develop in the stem when it's put horizontally. So if you train your stem in spring, your stem will be bare for some time. So you wouldn't see those lateral shoots coming out right away, as on the stems which were trained before winter into the horizontal shape, right, into the horizontal position. And then the flowering will be delayed on your rose. Maybe some gardeners like that effect, I'm not sure, but I kind of don't like that bare effect on the stem in spring. When I come in, I shape my rose, I trim all these laterals, I bend those stems, and then I'm waiting for laterals to show up. And the hormonal changes are taking time in the stem, and they're not there when the rose is leafing out. So you have one section of the rose blooming and another section where those stems were just bent, they are bare. And then in a month, not in months, maybe in 2-3 weeks, they start to wake up and produce lateral shoots. So that is thing which I learned from growing roses for so many years, and I never read that it takes time for rose to get it, that it's in horizontal shape and it has to produce lateral shoots. And meanwhile, my generous gardener here at the back has very many strong canes. And of course, the beginner rosarian, we don't trim long canes, not at all, unless we want to shorten their lengths, because we don't have space to grow the climber. But usually we grow climbers because we want to have those beautiful long canes growing in the directions we want, right? So this year, what I'm going to have I have a plan in my head. I'm going to take several stems of that spruce tree and create some sort of a climbing support for extra stems, and let my rose take even more of space here. Plus, there is a big question with this tree. We are still deciding. We are going to take it down. It doesn't produce tasty apples at all, and probably we made a mistake. Our friends were telling us that we might be making mistakes growing these trees so close to each other. So we will see. Probably this tree would be down, and my generous gardener will have so much more space to thrive here on the sun. So the reason number one, let's go through that, why we don't want to leave stems unsecured before winter. We don't want winter damage. The reason number two, we don't want to prolong that awakening of lateral stems in spring if we will do the training in spring. And here's the reason number three. Let's look at my Katrina rose, which is growing on this handmade lovely support here. So what I made here, I made sure that I trained this rose in a very narrow vertical shape. So there is a big space between this rose here and the house. So look at this. You see there is probably 1.5 feet space between the house and this support. And our house is wooden, so I don't want any vegetation to touch the house. And of course, my Katrina rose, instead of creating shoots going out away from the house, it created 3 beautiful shoots growing towards the house. So this is the deal. If I wouldn't be able to train these shoots, which I think I will be able to do that, look at them. They are nice and juicy, 3 of them coming out of there. I think I would be able to train them in this very vertical, narrow shape, still bend them. But in case you have a stem which your rose created, and that stem is growing in totally different direction, and you totally don't want that stem to be there, I would just take that stem out, all 100%. Just trim it right here. And what it does, instead of waiting for your rose to invest so much into creating into this long big stem, you take it out right there where you don't want it to grow, and maybe, just maybe, your rose will agree to create a new stem. It will have plenty of energy into the direction you want, right? So instead of waiting the whole winter and the whole spring for your rose to wake up, and then taking down these beautiful long canes which were just created, your rose spent all its energy creating, When you see a little shoot growing in the wrong direction, just cut it off, and then rose will have energy to create something new, and maybe, just maybe, it will grow this way out. But I think I have a lot of flexibility in these canes. Katrina is much more flexible than Generous Gardener, and I will just go in waves here and there, conquering the heights. All right, one more thing I wanted to tell you. What do we do with all the dead stems? Let's look at the rose here at the back of the garden. This rose is a little bit out of shape, as you can see, and there are two dead stems. I'm not sure what happened here. But this rose is plagued by squirrels, believe it or not. Fat, good squirrels, which are hunting down every rose hip here. Look at these beautiful hips here. They are so nice and juicy. I can understand that they can be candies for squirrels. So these already eaten right here, see? And these guys are just waiting for squirrels to get them. So they're sitting on this climber all the time here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in and take those dead stems before winter. I'm not sure what happened here, maybe squirrel damage, because squirrels do nibble on stems if they happen to go through the rose bush. So all these dead stems, before winter, I would be taking them down, cutting them to the fresh wood, and if they are dead all the way down, I will cut them at the soil level and be done with them. They will go into the trash, and my rose will go into the winter, again, well secured. I probably will make sure I will move it up again. I already did it once. Squirrels are doing their job. What can you do? You have to live with squirrels, with wildlife. All right, my dear gardeners, this is it about rose care at the end of summer. Please do subscribe and like this video. I do want for all of us to enjoy our gardens and grow beautiful roses. We will see you in our next video. Have a good day.